I'll start.
Just a minute. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Economy 2020 event organized by Casper. Today, we have our three presenters Anju Kumari, Ruchi Agrawal, and Aruna Shalini Jojo from Madras School of Economics, and our two panel members Ankita Garg and Saili Jose. So, the topic for today is impact of COVID-19 on the Indian economy. So, the presenters, you can start the topic by just introducing yourself.
Alright. Hello, everyone. My name is Aruna Shalini Jojo. So the topic of our paper is impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy. In this paper, we have listed down the reforms that have been given by the government of India on the various uh, sectors of the economy that have been affected by this pandemic. So we have used SWOT analysis to analyze what is how our country can overcome this pandemic and how it can use its resources to overcome this. My group mate, Ruchi Agarwal, will further throw some light on the objectives of the paper.
Hello everyone, I am Ruchi Agrawal and I'm going to tell you about the objectives of the study that we have done. The first objective is assess the current effect of the coronavirus pandemic on the sectors of the Indian economy, that is the primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Secondly, we are going to look at the SWOT analysis of this situation in the Indian context. And lastly, we are going to mention about the relief measures that are adopted by the government in order to curb the situation of the coronavirus pandemic and uh, and to help in the growth of the Indian economy. Now, my teammate Anju will tell you about how this pandemic has affected the Indian trade.
Hello everyone, I am Anju Kumari. So I will be talking about the impact of COVID-19 on Indian trade. So India is the 17th largest export economy in the world, and before COVID-19 its export was $292 billion and import was $417 billion and the trade deficit was $125 billion. Due to this pandemic, the trade affected a lot. For instance, 35% of export got cancelled in the month of April. 28.7% of the import got declined by March, and according to a report, 29 out of 30 items shows contraction in the month of March and April. So, due to this pandemic, the trade deficit is expected to reach $152.9 billion in the fiscal year 2020. Now, I will be talking about the relation between Aruna, can you slide? Okay, so now I will be talking about the trade between India and China. So India is the largest import source. So China is the largest import source for the India. India imports almost 20 to 25% of the trade from China, and 2% during this pandemic, 2% slowdown in China's causes loss of $350 million in the Indian economy. So basically, the large dependency of China for the various sector of the economy, such as auto and auto components, chemicals, textiles, mainly the manufacturing sector, which we are seeing as the emerging sector of India, may disrupt due to the dependency of Chinese item on Indian economy. Now, we have in this research paper we have divided our paper. We are sorry. Sorry. So yes. In our paper, we have basically we are seeing the sector-wise impact on the Indian economy, basically the primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Now, Arina will tell us about the primary sector, the impact of COVID-19 on primary sector.
Under primary sector, we have selected forestry, fishery, and agriculture. So under forestry, we know that forestry has been a livelihood for various indigenous groups and the people in and around living in the forest. Why I say forestry? Because the minor forest produce and the non-timber forest produce contributes largely to this economy, and it is the backbone for these groups, that is the indigenous people and other forest dwellers. And it has been affected due to the lockdown, even after there had been some relaxation given. Next, I'll be moving on to fishery. Under fishery, we know that fishery is already a distressed sector. It is about 6.57 percentage under the agricultural GDP itself. It contributes the share, and it gives livelihood to about 16 million fisheries and fishermen. So due to this lockdown, it has stopped them from fishing, that is collecting their produce and distributing it. Lastly, I'll move on to agriculture. Agriculture, we know, has been a source of food supply in our country, and it has been affected diversely. I say that because it has not only affected the food supply, but the people involved in this sector. Because there are many people, such as the laborers and farmers involved in the sector, that have been adversely affected, and the lockdown has affected them, and this pandemic has affected them. This has stopped their supply, their collection of produce and distribution of produce. Moving on, Ruchi will tell us about the secondary sector.
Okay, so the total GDP contribution in the manufacturing or the secondary sector is about 27.03% of the Indian economy. And the growth of the industrial production is generally calculated using the index of industrial production. Now, it has been reported that in February 2020, the overall industrial output reduced to about 16.7% as compared to February 2019. And this is because of the closing down of the factories, various mills and MSME, etc. Now, in this, I'm going to talk about the major three sectors under the manufacturing. The first one is auto and its components. Now, the automotive sector has reported a loss of about 19% down in the sales of vehicles in 2020 as compared to 2019. Also, the disruption of supply chains from the disruption of supply chains from China has affected the imports of the various essential automotive parts. Various leading automotive industries like Hero, Honda, Skoda, Ashok Leyland, Mahindra and Mahindra, they have reported zero sales in April 2020, which is considered to be the first time that has ever happened in the history of automotive industry. Now, in order to tackle the situation, various automotive industries have resorted to the platform of online sales, and with the permission of the government, with the permission of the government, Suzuki and Mahindra also restarted their productions in their units, in their respective units, but with only 1/3 of the workforce involved in it. The second industry that I'm going to talk about is the apparel and textile industry. The GDP contribution to this industry is about 2%, and it employs around 45 million workforce from all over the country. Now, the nationwide lockdown has resulted in the closure of the textile industries and factories, which has impacted the migrant laborers and workers who were engaged in these sectors, in these industries, and now they do not have enough savings, so they are left with nothing, and they are not even able to access the basic necessities of life, food and shelter. Also, according to the KPMG report, which was published in 2020 March, this sector would lose about 2 to 3% of its production in April to June quarter. The last industry that I'm going to talk about is the mining industry. Now, this sector has also been affected due to the nationwide lockdown because the transport was not there and practice of social distancing. but the impact was relatively lower as compared to the other industries. This is probably because coal was considered to be an essential service, essential commodity, and hence its production started soon after the lockdown began. They have started their operations in April in mines which are situated in Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, and Orissa. Now, now my teammate Anju will tell you how COVID-19 has affected the tertiary sector of our Indian economy.
So the tertiary sector is most likely to suffer from the situation, in which we include education, hotels, restaurants, travel and tourism, banking sector. So GDP contribution of tourism is 9.2%, and for the hospitality and restaurant it is 9.16%. COVID-19 caused loss of rupees 1.25 trillion revenue in 2020. Not only this, but the different businesses linked with this, such as guest house, business stays, family holidays, social occasion, food delivery, also got affected due to this pandemic, which includes the major workforce of the Indian economy. Now I will talk about the transport sector. So GDP contribution is 14% in this sector, and not only the public services, but the share mobility services also got affected due to COVID-19 situation. And in railways, both passenger and cargo loading, and in aviation, both domestic and international flights got affected, and which leads to loss in huge revenue to the Indian government. Now for the education system, the market size of education system so the market size of education sector is $101.1 billion, which is hugely affected due to COVID-19. The most affected areas are higher education system, the students expected to go abroad for the education, and the children who are dependent on midday meal. And this may lead to decline in job opportunities in the near future, and it will also affect the quality of education because less interaction between the students and teachers. Now we will talk about the banking and finance sector. As we know, banking and finance sector provides services and funds for the economic activities to start. So COVID-19 affected banking sectors and put stress on NBFCs, and that leads to decrease in private investment, liquidity, credit risk assessment, and also the uncertainty in insurance services has increased. So now we will talk about the reforms taken by the government. So I will be talking about the reforms for farmers. So government announced the purchase of 74,300 rupees under MPS during COVID-19, and government also introduced the reform, which is basically the deregulation of Essential Commodity Act. Government also sorry. So now I will be talking about the fisheries and animal husbandry. So in the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, government announced 20,000 crore rupees of fund, and in the National Animal Disease Program, government ensure that 100% vaccination will be given to the cattle against the foot and mouth diseases. Now, Aruna will tell us about the more reforms taken by the government in this COVID-19 situation.
I'll be talking about the relief measures for the migrant workforce. We know that a large number of migrants come from the unorganized work sector, and a large number comes from the construction sector itself. So we have taken reforms dated up to 17th May 2020. There have been more reforms and steps for them after that. But since we've taken into consideration only till 17th May 2020, we've just listed few of them. So the first attempt was by the Union Labour and Employment Minister, Santosh Kumar Gangwar. He requested all the state chief ministers to enroll the construction workers under the that have been enrolled under Building and Other Construction Workers Welfare Board to employ funds for. Second measure or step was taken was to create a database, try to create a database in order to map all the migrant workers so that the government knows how much amount of fund needs to be allocated for these workers. Next is about rupees 2.46 lakh money, a fund has been was allocated under One Nation, One Ration card for those who do not have a ration card, could also avail food. With respect to food, the government had issued about 5 kgs of rice or wheat per family, and about 1 kg of chana. This was distributed. This was estimated to be distributed among 80 million of workers. So these are few of the relief measures that were given to the migrant workers. Next, Ruchi will be throwing some light on our analysis that we did using SWOT.
Okay, so the strength that India has in fighting the coronavirus pandemic is the decision of the nationwide lockdown was taken at a very right time when the cases were less than 500. Secondly, various schools, colleges, government institutions, they were immediately converted into the quarantine centers so that they can treat the patients. Also, India has an upper hand in the production and export of a medicine called hydroxychloroquine, which is considered to be potential in the treatment of coronavirus. India has also been very effective in spreading the awareness about the coronavirus impact among the citizens of the India, among the Indian citizens, and they have been very serious about following the rules and guidelines. The weaknesses are, since there are no unemployment benefits provision in our country, so the migrant laborers, the workers who are on contract basis, they have been affected to a great extent. Secondly, education has been suffered because of the nationwide lockdown and closure of schools and colleges. And the problem in India is we can't resort to the method of online education because all parts of the India, like Jammu Kashmir, they do not have they do not have adequate internet facilities so that they can avail the online education in India. The opportunities that lies in India are India has the potential of becoming a manufacturing hub or increase its exports by using its talents and resources efficiently. For instance, India, who do not used to produce any PPE kits till February 2020, is now producing around 2 lakh PPE kits a day, which shows that India has the potential. They just need to use it in a effective manner. And the threats that India might face is, since the economy has been crumbled till now to a great level, so revival definitely would take around 7 to 8 months or a year. Then since there is excessive population in the country, so community transmission would lead to rise in the number of cases exponentially. And since the healthcare facilities are not up to the mark, so they might result in losing the precious lives of the citizens. Also, people would try to break the quarantine rules and lockdown guidelines. So, in order to conclude the topic, I would like to say that when we are looking how the coronavirus pandemic has affected the Indian economy, the manufacturing sector has been affected to a great extent, followed by the tertiary sector and the primary sector. Also, a very good thing about this is government has responded very well in curbing the situation and controlling it. Like they have adopted various relief measures for the farmers, migrant laborers. Like they have also started the Shramik train so that the migrants can go home. And lastly, I would say that India definitely has a potential in achieving V-shaped recovery if it uses its resources efficiently, and they can become a great nation in curbing the situation of coronavirus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, presenters. Now our panel members can have their questions. Okay.
Ankita, you want to go ahead first?
We can't hear you, ma'am.
Ma'am, we are not able to hear you. Actually the microphone is off, I guess.
Yeah, is it
Yeah.
audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So the topic was impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy, and you chose it correctly by giving a sector-wise approach. But I felt it have been more in-depth research instead of putting just one-liners as to how much loss the economy or the sector has covered. So
Yes.
basically, I felt there was a lack of in-depth research if we go about by sector-wise this, and you could have cut short on things like reforms by the government and then relief measures, because now we are studying the impact, and it would have been great if it was in-depth impact on the Indian economy sector-wise. So if you talk about whether the automobile sector has done itna loss, then apparel and textile industry has done this much of loss. I would have been happy if you have given the in-depth or the in-depth research as to what are the sources of such data. So what sources have you used in such collating such data? Can you just tell me that?
Ma'am, we for the IIP index, we took the ministry data, the press release by the ministry, and then we mostly read the news articles from Economic Times, then Hindu, Deccan Herald, and we mostly resorted to the news that
That
was going
was
on.
not a correct approach according to me, but yes, your efforts are appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I agree with Ankita that it was like on the surface you touched upon everything possible, but not. I mean, the details were lacking in the presentation. Even if you were looking at the three sectors, like taking a macro look at the problems, you could have done, or what I would have done if I was in your place, was that I would create the linkages between the primary and the secondary and tertiary sectors, between these three sectors, and see which groups were getting affected and what relief measures the government has given for them, what the government has not given for them. And that would have, identifying where focus needs to be, or which sectors are missing out on the on receiving help from the government, would have added some value to the presentation. So maybe you can still, it's an ongoing process, it's a dynamic problem, you can still think about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I think
Someone can add their points if they want, because we have 5 minutes more. We will have.
Sorry. Hello?
Yeah. So, ma'am, we do agree that we could have done in-depth research, or could have done more with regard to our topic. The thing is, ma'am, we didn't have enough time, and we didn't know that because it's an ongoing issue, we didn't know how we could approach a topic that is ongoing, because we didn't know where to get the data from, and we were relying heavily on news articles, which you said shouldn't have been done. So that was one of the issues. Also, since we did it in a such short period of time, we couldn't really contribute or really give in
Our
put in more efforts with regard to in-depth, analysis that could have been done, like you said.
That is, yes, ma'am, that is what we believe is a fault from our part. And
Yeah.
thank you so much that you told us, so that we can work on this paper, we can continue on this paper, and then we can we can do more in-depth research and then do it. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that.
Okay, thank you everyone for your contribution. I really, it was a really good event. So thank you very much. Um,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
uh,
What are we supposed to?
Hang up.
Should we hang up or?